Amongst the tools Excel has in its armory for helping you deal with cleansing your data is the ability to remove duplicate records. Now, the duplicate records removal tool does exactly that. So before actually using it on any set of data, I would certainly recommend backing that data up. Here we're going to take the Contacts 2016 working file, which has a lot of records, and in fact, a lot of them are duplicated. So we click into our data. We go to Data, we choose Remove Duplicates. Just going to resize the box. Now in here, we have to decide which of the fields must be duplicated for the row to be counted as a duplicate. If I leave all of them ticked, it will only count records as duplicated if absolutely every single value on that line is the same as every single value on line B, for example. That even includes the customer ID. So if that is repeated in here, I certainly have got duplications. I'm going to leave them all selected for the moment and say, okay, let's see what happens. And it finds 55,524 duplicate values, and they've been removed. There's no, are you sure you want to remove them? They have now gone. It's going to leave me with 18,508 unique values remaining. And by unique values, it means by using all the columns of every row, they are different. Okay. That's why I suggested you take a backup of any data before you run the Remove Duplicates tool. Ideally, what it ought to do is say, I found this many, do you want to proceed? But it doesn't. It takes them away. So you then need to go back to your backup record. Now, you don't need to use all the columns when you're looking for duplicates. If I go back into Remove Duplicates, I choose Unselect All. That unselects all of my columns. Perhaps I'm just looking for duplicate email addresses. Okay. Says 24 duplicates were found and removed. 18,484 unique values remain. Now that's fine, but it's taken 24 records away, and I don't know if any one of those was actually the right one. It's just kept the first one it found. So I say, okay, those 24 are gone, but luckily there's an undo. Just going to undo the first one, remove duplicates. Now I know there are 24 duplicated email addresses. What I could do instead of using that tool is let's insert a column here. I'm going to put DUP at the top, which is abbreviation for duplicate. And I'm going to count how many times that email address appears in the email column. So equals count if, open brackets. The range is column I. Now I don't really know how far down the records go. I could highlight the cells, or we can just go with the whole column. Remember, you can only use full column references from 2013 onwards. If you're on an older version of Excel, you will have to use the whole range, so I2 to I wherever it gets to, somewhere in the 18,000 mark, I believe, comma, and then the value I'm checking for in the range is actually that first one there, I2. Close brackets, return, and it says it appears once. Now, before I replicate this, I just need to make sure that I fix column I. Now, it won't move the column because it's the whole range, but just to be on the safe side, we'll put our dollar marks in. That's F4 while the range is selected, put the dollars in. And then I can replicate this. Because there are so many records, 18,000 plus, it will just take a little while to copy the formula down and then run the calculation so that it can work them all out. Once that reaches 100%, we'll then be able to check which of the email addresses are duplicated. It might be that there's just one duplicated 24 times, or it could be 12 duplicated twice each. Once that is complete, I will then need to sort by my duplicating column, sort Z to A, so that the highest numbers are at the top. And again, we have that perceptible pause because of the quantity of data. Obviously, the more RAM you've got, the faster that process will be. And then when it gets to the end, we find all the ones that have a 2 effectively. So it looks like it's actually quite a few records repeated twice. There we are. So a lot of email addresses that are repeated twice. Then I can decide which of these 2 I wish to keep. It's the same name, same phone number, same email address. The difference is its shipping and the home address are different. So I then need to decide which one of those I wanted to keep. Potentially I want to keep both. And the same for the next duplication, and the next, and the next, and the next. This gives you that little bit more control than just doing a blanket remove duplicates. Sometimes the blanket remove duplicates is what you're after. I know there's a lot of duplicates in here. I accidentally downloaded the same data twice or 3 times, for example. Then remove duplicates is fantastic. Here, when we got to looking at the email addresses, it was perhaps a bit too indiscriminatory, so we added in our own little function where we were actually checking. So using the countif, we were able to check how many times that particular email address appeared in the email address list, and then we sorted by descending order to get the most frequently occurring at the top. Then we can manually go through and decide which of our records, if any, we then want to keep in our final result. That's the Remove Duplicates tool. Great little tool, used many times. Just for those times when it's perhaps a little overzealous, we have the ability to use a function, here we've used countif, to count how many times a value occurs, and that way we can manually check which of those records we want to keep or not want to keep.